Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're working on breaking some movements that are kind of challenging in the yoga practice. One of them is the Chaturanga, or the yoga push-up, and plank pose, talking about the alignment there, and then arching the back like cobra or high cobra or upward dog. We'll start in table, with the hips over the knees and the shoulders over the wrists. And at all times when you're on the hands, you want to spread the fingers and dome the middle of the fingers, pressing the fingertips down. Your weight is on the heels of the hands, pressing the fingertips. And let's work on stretching the wrists. So shift your weight forward and back. Forward and back. One more time. And back. And then rotate the hands, the fingers to point out, and then rotate the fingers to point towards your knees. Still pressing the fingertips, and just, if this is too deep, stay to the front. If you want to go deeper, stay back, or again, you can keep shifting forward and back. Deepen your breath. And then the fingers come out and forward again. We want to work on protracting, retracting the shoulders. So from here, notice my shoulders, if my hands are in front. Retracting the shoulders is wrapping the shoulder blades back like you're pinching the shoulder blades towards each other. And protracting is the opposite, doming the back of the shoulders. Let's do that from table again. Spread the fingers, retract the shoulders, and protract, doming the area behind the shoulders. Retract and protract. Two more times. Retract and protract. One more. And exhale. Lift up. Very good. So keep protracting the shoulder and find your core engagement. In other words, lifting the ribs towards the spine, zipping the core from the belly button up to the ribs. Have a little tuck in your hips to lengthen the tailbone. Deepen your breath. So you have your full engagement from the shoulders, pressing the mat away. Engagement in your core. And a little bit of a tuck in your hips to protect the back. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, come back up to seated. So I'll give you two tools here that you can use. You don't have to have them today. But the first one is the yoga wedge. And this is really great if your wrists are sensitive, and it's probably not so expensive. You can find it on Amazon. The hands can come, you put the higher side towards you, and the hands are setting on the yoga wedge. And that should help you leaning forward. The angle is not so deep anymore when you do that. And it helps your wrists out. So that's one tool that is very helpful in the yoga world. Another tool that today we'll work with is the yoga blocks. You set them at the front of the mat on the highest edge and have the fingers, the tips of the fingers, touching the mat. Spread the fingers from table. Start shifting your weight forward and back. Have the top of the feet down from table. Gaze forward, shift your weight forward, and start coming down until the shoulders are hovering over the blocks. The elbows are hugging. And lift up. Let's find our core engagement here. So you are doming the back of the shoulders, engage the core, and have a tuck in your hips. The whole upper body is like one block as you shift forward, tuck your hips, and then come down, hugging the elbows in. Lift up and come up. We'll do this 2 more times. Shift forward, halfway, lift up and back. One more time. Shift forward. Halfway. Elbows are in. Shoulders are back. Lift. And come back up. Very good. Remember, you can use the yoga wedge under the hands here. So let's do this and add the arch in the back with it. Shifting your weight forward. Gaze forward. Tuck your hips. Engage your core. Shift. Hug the elbows and come halfway down. And then to arch the back, simply keep the knees down and lift up to your upward dog. And then press up to table. We'll do it 1 more time. Core engagement, dome the shoulders, shift forward, hug the elbows, and then come halfway down, press forward, and lift up into your upward dog. Very good. Let's talk about upward dog for a little bit. So in upward dog, you want to get your thighs engaged, the glutes engaged. In other words, you're squeezing the muscles in the thighs around the bones. Your glutes engaged by bringing the sit bones towards each other. And then another thing you want to do is press the sacrum down, and the feet should always be hip-width distance apart in your back bends. So from here, you're spreading the fingers from table, shifting your weight forward, get your core engagement, hug the elbows, and then come halfway down, and simply sacrum comes down and lift up. Notice if you're shrugging the shoulders up, you have an option. The hands can come wider, or you can stick to your low cobra, which we'll talk about in a second. Take a deep breath in, and exhale, press up into your table. Let's talk about low cobra. So you, you shift forward, hug the elbows, and this time you come down with the chest and the chin, and then you lower the sacrum down. The hands are framing the chest, or maybe framing lower than the chest. Hug the elbows, shoulders are back, stay light on the hands into your low cobra. So remember, in low cobra, the feet are hip-width distance apart. You're engaging your quads, your glutes, that the kneecaps lift. Pressing the sacrum down, stay light on the hands, and take a full breath in, and exhale, let it go. Let's do this 2 more times. Hands are back, elbows back, shoulders back. Kneecaps are lifting. I can slid a paper under the knees. Inhale, lift, and exhale, come down. Stay light on the hands. 1 more time. Inhale, lift, and exhale, come down. To come up into your high cobra, the hands can slide further back. Keep the knees down this time, and inhale, lift. The arms are straight, shoulder blades wrap back. Gaze can be forward. And then slowly come down. The elbows stay close to the body. Let's talk about upward dog. Press the top of the feet as strong as you can and start lifting up to your high cobra, and then hover the knees up. Still engaging your glutes, still engaging your quads. And then come down. Let's take a break. Find your way to child's pose. The knees are hip-width distance apart. The arms are reaching forward. Have the palms facing the sky. Draw a fist in the hands and the fist towards you. Forehead can hover. And take a few breaths here. Very good. Let's talk about plank pose. So from table, the shoulders are over the wrist. Dome the back of the shoulders. Get your core engagement and extend the legs. You have that tuck in your hips. It's a deeper tuck in your hips. The hips are low. You're lifting the quadriceps, the front of the thighs up, but the hips stay low. Zipping the ribs towards each other. Deepen the breath. The gaze is to the front of the mat. Keep the breath going. And then release the knees and come back to seated. So let's kind of connect plank pose to Chaturanga, or the yoga push-up, and then upward dog. We'll do it first 3 times. We'll do it with the knees down, and then we'll try to work on it with the knees up. So from plank pose, get your core engagement, the tuck in your hips, doming the back of the shoulders, kind of hollow in the front body. Release the knees down, hug the elbows, you shift forward, keep the elbows in, the shoulders back. And then come halfway down, hugging the elbows, and lift up into your high cobra with the knees down. Deep breath in, and exhale from table. Extend the legs back, plank pose, dome the back of the shoulders, tuck your hips. Release the knees down, hug the elbows, shift forward. The upper body's like one block. Gaze forward and come down, and inhale, upward dog, hovering the knees, or high cobra. And then press up to table. Let's do it 1 more time. Extend the legs back, tuck your hips, hollow in the front body. Shift forward, the knees come down, and then halfway, and inhale, high cobra, and exhale. Let it go. Let's find child's pose for a few breaths. Sway your hips side to side. And come back up. Very good. So let's do the same thing We'll start from downward dog, and then we'll go to plank pose and do the chaturanga. But let's try it with the knees up. But remember, if you're already finding tightness in the shoulders and this is already a big challenge and you need to build strength, keep the knees down until you're so comfortable with that. Then start working on sometimes lifting the knees up until you get to a point where it gets kind of easier for you. You don't want to build tension in the shoulders and the back of your neck just trying to learn the process of the chaturanga. So either stick to your knees down or let's work on the knees up. The hands are down from table. Lift the hips up into your downward facing dog. Let's talk about the downward dog alignment for a second here. The heels are reaching towards the mat, but not necessarily touching. And notice if there's rounding in the back, allow a bend in your knees to really lengthen through your spine, with the sit bones reaching up and back. You can straighten the legs as long as you can keep the lift in the sit bones and the length in your spine. And then from here, draw the shoulder blades back, widening the shoulders. The head is heavy as you gaze back towards the shins or the ankles. You're lifting the forearms towards your fingertips. You're still spreading the fingers, pressing with the fingertips, just like we talked about at the beginning. Take a full breath in. On your exhale, shift forward to plank pose. You might need to step the feet just a little bit back. Have a tuck in your hips, hollow front body, dome the back of the shoulders. Shift forward, gaze to the front, hug the elbows, and come halfway down, hugging the elbows in. And then inhale, arch the back, either upward dog or high cobra. And exhale, press up into your downward facing dog. We'll do this 2 more times. Make sure you keep the space between the shoulders and the ears. Full breath in from downward dog. Exhale, plank pose. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, hug the elbows halfway down. Inhale, arch the back. And exhale, downward facing dog. 1 more time, you got this. Full breath in. Exhale, plank pose. Hollow front body. Gaze forward, shift forward. Take a breath. With the breath out halfway. Inhale, upward facing. And exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. And exhale, have the knees come down and sit back on your feet. Interlace the fingers, have the forearms touching, and rotate the wrists a few times. These wrist stretches are really important to help you with the chaturanga. And remember, you can always use the yoga wedge and change direction. Very good. Hands are down and roll the shoulders, open and loosen the shoulder muscles. Full breath in and exhale, let it go. Let's talk about some common mistakes that people do in the chaturanga. So for plank pose, when you're coming down, some people, first of all, they have the elbows out, which is really hard. And then some people come down with the chest and the hips stay up, which is, again, really hard on the shoulders. A lot of times I see people having the hips come down and then the body follows, and that's really hard on the lower back. So when you're coming down from plank, whether the knees are down or lifted, you want the upper body to be like a block, a whole one piece coming down, and that's why you have your core engagement and the tailbone lengthened and the hips are tucked, doming the back of the shoulders. You want that full engagement there and just come down in one piece. That's very important to remember. Another common mistake is not having the shift forward. Let's say the knees are down or not. Having to lower here, notice how my shoulders shrug up. There's really not much room for me to come and lower down. So it's important to shift forward, gaze to the front. You have the tuck in the hips and then come down like one full block. Very good. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Let's do it a couple more times. You can keep the blocks and use them under the shoulders if you want, or the wedge, or not. Spread the fingers. From table, the knees can stay down. Have the top of the feet down. Have a tuck in your hips, doming the back of the shoulders. Shift forward, hug the elbows in, halfway down. And then inhale, upward facing dog or high cobra. Shoulders wrap back. You have as much space as you can between the shoulders and the ears. And then press up to table, tuck your toes, find your way to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale, shift forward to plank. Have a tuck in your hips, dome behind the shoulders. Gazes to the front of the mat. Release the knees. Hug the elbows. Shift forward again. And then come down and inhale. High cobra. And exhale. Table to downward dog. Let's do 2 with the knees lifting this time. Let's do it breath to movement. Full breath in. And exhale, shift forward to plank pose. Gaze to the front, hug the elbows, shift forward again. Inhale. And exhale, halfway. Inhale, upward facing. And exhale, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale, plank. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog. And slowly release the knees down. One other thing to help you in your Chaturanga. So let's talk about the muscles that need to be kind of open to help you through it. First one is the wrists. Obviously, you probably noticed by now. So the exercises for the wrist to open is just like we started with the fingers pointing towards you and then opening out and to the front. Another way is interlacing the fingers and rotating down. These are 2 great stretches for the wrists. Another thing that was very helpful for me, and it helped me with the wrist and the tightening in my shoulders, is that when I started my practice at first, I rotated my pointer finger out slightly in front instead of forward. And that kind of gave me more space in the shoulders. My shoulders are wide and they were very, very tight. So that just that opening there gave me more space for my shoulders. So give it a try. That might work for you. Another, obviously you noticed, another muscle that you really want to open is the shoulders for your Chaturanga. Great ways to open the shoulders. From child's pose, the knees are out, the toes are touching, the hands are reaching forward. You're dipping down with the chest, gazing slightly forward without straining the neck. Maybe you lift the palms of the hands and the forearms up. This is a great shoulder opener. One of my favorite shoulder openers is puppy pose as well. So from table, you walk the hands to the front, keep the sit bones up. If the neck is sensitive, keep gazing down and just dipping down with the chest. If the neck is okay, maybe you gaze to the front, but don't force it. You're dipping down still with the chest. There should be no pain in the shoulders, no pinching in the shoulders. If there's pain or pinching, walk the hands closer towards you. You're in a space where you can really deepen the breath. To come out of this posture, round the back, tuck your chin, tuck your hips. This is a really deep stretch for the shoulders, so take care of yourself. If you do have blocks at home, one great stretch for the shoulders is to have the blocks in front of you and then the elbows on the blocks. From child's pose, the palms of the hands together or interlace the fingers and the head peeks down between the arms to reach down and the elbows are bent, the hands are behind you towards the neck. And you can use this on blocks or even on a table from standing. Just put the elbows on the table and do the same thing. Another great stretch. Use the table or use the blocks. Have the blocks in front and the hands are on the blocks. And this time have the knees out to give you more space. Sit bones are back. Again, dip down with your chest. Tuck your chin. But take care of the shoulders. There's not much support in the shoulder joint, so be very mindful how you feel. Never pain, never pinching in the shoulder. Just getting a stretch without overdoing it. I hope that was helpful for you, helping you in your Chaturanga and in your Vinyasa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. Thank you.